Hey Rebecca, so I've got some acrylic paints in here. It doesn't matter what acrylic paints you use, this is just the paint. So no matter what brand you're using, what I do is I do 50 paint and 50 Floetrol. Always make sure you give your Floetrol a good shake. Not madly, but just tip it upside down. And then I don't measure, I don't weigh, I don't do any of that. I just generally put half the amount of Floetrol in, give that a good stir. So I've got colours here that I've picked, and they're just the colours that I want to use for this particular pour. There is, as I said, all the just the acrylic paints. So just mix your Floetrol in, and it'll become a little bit more fluidy, but not a lot. And then you have your water. You can use just still water if you want. I don't bother. I just chip a little bit at a time and mixing. And it's really time consuming to do this, but it's really important to get your paints the right consistency. As you can see, that's really still really thick. It's sort of, so I'll add more. And the water looks like it's sitting on top at first, but you just got to keep mixing and it'll all mix in. And for this first pour, I'm going to do an open cup, which is the ones with the patterns that go right through with the cells. And it's just a cup, and I've just cut the bottom off it. So that's what we're going to use. So with your paints, you just keep mixing. And even when you think that you've mixed them enough, you still keep mixing. Like it takes I spend a good half hour mixing all my paints, which I won't waste all your time. I'll just show you the consistency for this particular technique. I'll just show you with this white one what consistency to get. And if you look at that, it's still, it's almost still like it's a bit like yogurt, maybe a little bit runnier than yogurt. That's still way too thick. So more water. And I like to use either a base paint of black or white. You can use other colours if you want, but that's generally how I paint. If you notice with mine, I like to have either a base of white or black. So this one I'm doing white. So if it's too thick, your paint will crack. And because it'll be too thick on your Lazy Susan or your board or your canvas or whatever. So that's getting a bit thinner, but when you have a look at it, you can see, I don't know if you can see, but you can see there's still a trace on the top of the paint. So I'm still going to add more water to that one. Because I want it to be the consistency of, for this technique, really runny honey is probably, you should be able to run it, just hold it up a few inches off the top, and you see the little lines on top. I don't know if you can see that. I'll bring you in closer in a minute when I get it to the better consistency so you can see. And you run it along, and they should leave like a little line and then sink within seconds. So that one's getting not too bad. So because this is the base one, I always do more of the base and then I do a little bit of the other colours that I'm using. Again, depending on what technique I'm doing as to how many of the other colours. And if you're using metallics, like with this one I'm using silver, metallics are always thicker, the pigment is thicker and it sinks. So even if your other paint consistencies are this nice thin consistency, you leave that one a tad thicker, otherwise your metallics just sink and you won't get that nice metallic. Just a little bit too thick. And that's all it is just acrylic paint, Floetrol and your water. said, then keep scraping the sides and your bottom. Like when you're doing resin, you just got to keep scraping those sides. So that's good now. So I'll show you, I'll bring you in. Sorry about my makeshift. But I'll show you